Nobody saw it coming when Stormi Steele went live that night. Nobody expected the tears either. But there she was on camera, her voice shaking, wiping her face while thousands of people watched. It wasn't fake. It wasn't for views or clout. This was someone breaking down after holding it all in for too long. There were no filters, no rehearsed speeches. Just raw, honest emotion. And as she began to speak, it became clear that the story she was telling was only the beginning. Stormi had always been seen as strong, focused, and serious about her work. She wasn't one to share too much online, and when she did, it was always polished and professional. So when she started crying and talking about betrayal, it shocked everyone. At the center of her pain was Carlos, her former manager, business partner, and for a while, someone she truly trusted. A few years ago, they looked unstoppable. Stormi was creative, driven, and ready to take over the industry. Carlos had the connections, the business sense, and experience. Together, they built something that looked powerful from the outside. She gave him credit for helping shape her brand, and he often praised her as one of the most talented people he had ever worked with. But then things changed. Slowly, at first, missed phone calls, strange energy in meetings, and decisions being made without her. She brushed it off at the time, thinking it was just stress or busy schedules. But deep down, she felt something shift. The real turning point came during a meeting about her next big project. Stormi had been working on it for months. It reflected who she was: her music, her message, her identity. But Carlos didn't see it the same way. He wanted something safer, something he believed was more marketable. He told her the numbers didn't support taking creative risks. That's when she reached her breaking point. People who were there said it felt like a switch flipped. She had been quiet for too long, and she wasn't going to stay silent anymore. She stood her ground. When Carlos tried to hand her a new contract giving him even more control over her work, she refused to sign. The argument that followed was intense. Carlos called her unprofessional and emotional. She told him he had been dismissing her for months. It ended with Carlos firing her. Stormi didn't talk about it right away. She stayed quiet, tried to process everything, and kept working behind the scenes. But then the rumors started talk of shady deals, disagreements, and secret meetings. That's when she decided to tell her side. She went live on Instagram. And this time, she didn't hold back. She spoke through tears, saying she felt used and discarded, like she didn't matter. She hadn't just lost a manager, she lost someone she thought was in her corner. Fans rushed to support her. They flooded social media with love and encouragement. But along with the support came questions: what really happened? Was it just creative differences, or was there more? Meanwhile, Carlos stayed silent. Days passed. Stormi's video was everywhere. Her name trended online. Still, no response from him, no post, no interview, not even a vague quote. Just silence. And to a lot of people, that silence said everything. Insiders later said Carlos was rattled. He thought he could handle the fallout, but he hadn't expected the internet to stand by Stormi the way they did. He had spent years behind the scenes building his reputation as a smart, composed professional. But now, his name was being dragged through the mud, and it was all playing out in public. When he finally did respond, the statement felt cold and corporate. It talked about differences in vision and a breakdown in communication. He praised Stormi's talent but said their partnership had run its course. It felt rehearsed. Fans weren't buying it. They wanted answers. They wanted to know why Stormi had to cry online to be heard. Why didn't he support her? Why didn't he try to fix things before it all exploded? Then came a new twist: rumors from Carlos's side. Anonymous sources started suggesting that Stormi was the one being difficult. That she had skipped meetings, missed deadlines, and had even been talking to other managers behind his back. Stormi didn't deny it. In a podcast interview later, she said, "Yes, I was exploring other options. Because I felt ignored. I felt trapped." She explained that she wasn't trying to leave out of anger, she was trying to find a space where she could be seen and heard. Her words hit home. Fans respected her honesty even more. She wasn't playing games, she was just done letting other people control her story. As the fallout continued, everyone around them had to pick sides. Producers, stylists, and PR reps were suddenly caught in the middle. Some quietly distanced themselves from Carlos. Others posted subtle messages supporting Stormi. A few tried to stay neutral. Through it all, Stormi didn't fade away. She used the moment as fuel. Instead of hiding, she focused on rebuilding on her own terms. She dropped a new single, no label, no big promotion. Just her. It wasn't polished or designed to top charts. It was raw, emotional, and honest. And people felt it. Within hours, it was trending. Fans said it was her best work yet. Influencers shared it, celebrities reposted it, and people who didn't even know who she was before were suddenly paying attention. Behind the scenes, Stormi was forming a new team, people who actually respected her. She didn't just want a new manager. She wanted control. Control over her music, her image, her future. Carlos, meanwhile, signed a new artist shortly after. Some called it a smart move. Others thought it was petty. Either way, comparisons began immediately. No matter what he did, people brought up Stormi. His brand had taken a hit, and even though he kept moving forward, the damage was done. Stormi, on the other hand, kept rising. She started showing up at local events, doing small shows, connecting with her community. She wasn't just rebuilding her career, she was reclaiming her power. The moment everything shifted was during a women's empowerment event. She stood on stage, strong and composed. She didn't name names. She didn't throw shade. She simply told her story about being underestimated, about losing trust, and about learning to stand on her own. The crowd gave her a standing ovation. That speech wasn't about revenge. It was about growth. About healing. About knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone take it from you again. Stormi didn't just survive the fallout, she turned it into fuel. And Carlos? He may still be in the business, but the shadow of how he handled her will follow him. Because in the end, real success isn't just about numbers or contracts. It's about staying true to yourself even when the whole world's watching. So now that you've heard it all, the question is, what happens next for Stormi Steele? She's not just bouncing back. She's rebuilding everything from the ground up, this time on her own terms. No more playing small. No more handing her power over to people who don't value it. What we're watching isn't just a comeback, it's a transformation. A reminder that you can lose everything and still come back stronger when you bet on yourself. Stormi didn't let that viral breakdown define her. She turned it into a starting point. While others expected her to go quiet, to disappear like so many do after a public fallout, she did the opposite. She released new music, built her own team, and started speaking up not just for herself, but for every artist who's been pushed aside, overlooked, or told they're too emotional for the industry. And that's the real story here. It's not just about contracts and creative control. It's about trust. It's about having your voice heard in rooms that want your talent but not your opinion. Stormi hit her breaking point, and instead of crumbling, she found her fire. Carlos may have tried to paint the split as just business, but people saw through that. The polished statements, the silence, the rumors, it all felt calculated. And while he may continue in the industry, the way this played out has left a mark. Because people remember how you treat others, especially when they're vulnerable. Stormi didn't need a PR team to spin her side. She had her voice. Her fans. Her truth. And now, she's got momentum. She's not just an artist anymore. She's a symbol for what it means to reclaim your power in a system that often tries to silence women, especially when they speak up for themselves. So if you're watching this and you've ever felt like your voice didn't matter, like you were being pushed to the background, let Stormi's story be your reminder: your voice is powerful. Your story is yours to tell. And no one, not a manager, not a boss, not even the industry, gets to define your worth. Stormi Steele isn't just surviving, she's leading. She's building. And most importantly, she's free. If this story moved you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments, were you Team Stormi from the start? Or did hearing her full story change your mind? Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes your lowest moment becomes the start of something unstoppable. She's building. And most importantly, she's free. If this story moved you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments, were you Team Stormi from the start? Or did hearing her full story change your mind? Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes your lowest moment becomes the start of something unstoppable.